Hello, hello, good evening. It's Monica from Life is Art and Scrap. It's almost Monday. Let's create. We are going to be creating today using the Honey Butter collect. Sorry, I keep wanting to say it. Honey Bunny collection. And we are going to be creating a single page layout. I'm just trying to see if I can adjust my video to get a little closer. Avert your eyes. I don't think that got us any closer. Let me try again. I'm going to stand up and do it. See how that is. Alrighty. Have you had a wonderful weekend? We had a decent amount of snowy little showers this afternoon and this morning. I was at a crop here in Brampton, and it was nice to be inside while the snowy little goodness was happening outside. I was glad to be inside crafting with friends, and nothing better on a snowy afternoon to be doing that. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. If you're watching later on replay, you can just leave me a message to say you're watching later. And, oh, look, I see Debbie is here. Hey, Debbie. And Michelle, too. Hello, hello. Hey, Joanne. I see Pauline is here. Good morning from Australia. Yes, you're up and going for the day as we're just kind of winding down. Michelle's been crafting all weekend. Favorite kind of weekend. Absolutely. We missed you today at the crop, Michelle, but yeah, good to be crafting at home sometimes, too, right? All right, so we're going to be creating today, we're going to be using the Honey Bunny collection. We're also going to be using a couple stamp sets. We're going to be using the stamp of the month, which is called Just Chicken In. And this is the one that you can get for a discounted price if you put in an order of $60 or more. And if you're a VIP and you do a qualifying order, you can get it for free. And then we're also going to be using the Honey Bunny scrapbooking stamp set. And so kind of an interesting mix. We're definitely doing a spring layout today. And so we're going to start with a base page of Seabrook, which is a little bit different than usual. Now, in the cameras, you may see it as fairly whitish, but it is Seabrook, and we are going to be using the true color side, the side with more color, because if I turn it over to the back side, it definitely shows up as white on your screen. While we've got it over here, though, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive to the back side so that we can keep it all in one place as we're crafting, because we're going to need to do a little bit of measuring today. Now, today's layout is inspired by a Pinterest post of a layout design by Let me make sure I get it right. Anna Comenda. I think that's how you pronounce it. I will post it in the description so you'll be able to see it there. And it's a fun design. I've had it pinned in my idea board for quite a long time because I kind of like the concept of it. It's not something that you would use over and over again, maybe, but it's definitely kind of a fun one. Hey, Deborah, yes, it snowed. Yep. It said on the the weather report this morning, snow showers. And I was like, oh, well, that's going to be fleeting. And then it said at 2 o'clock it was going to switch to rain. And I was like, okay, that's, it'll warm up. It'll be rain. No, I don't know if we really had any rain, although the snow showers, sorry, I'm moving things off of my piece of paper over here so that I can get myself organized. The snow showers kind of came and went. They would look like really heavy out the window by times, and that would dissipate. Nothing really stuck to the ground. It was very wet, so no accumulation whatsoever. Don't think we really had rain, though, but it was very sloppy rain showers. So I'm bringing in a piece of paper that is from the Mix-in collection for March and April. And the side that I'm using is this side that's got these pretty little leaves all over it. Let me see if I can bring it closer to the camera. They're like three little leafy branches all over it. And it's a really nice background design, and it kind of blends in with the background paper, but gives a bit of texture. I thought about stenciling on this one, but then I decided against it. So we're going for this patterned paper. And I would have probably actually used an entire sheet of this for the background, except for I had already used some of it. And because I had already used some of it, I could not use the entire sheet. So I've actually cut it to 10 and 5/8-ish. It was basically what the piece that was left, minus the part that had been cut off. Just kind of squared it up. So having my druthers, as they say, I would have used just a full sheet of the pattern paper. Now I could also gut out the center of my cardstock, but I'm not going to do that either. But I do want to try and center this. So let me see. We've got 1 3/8. So that's going to give us half and 1 1/2. So we're just going to be right about there for centering. And my hair is falling in front of my face. So this is kind of a by guess and by golly centering. There we go. Okay, push the hair out of my face. So now I can see what I'm doing. Good enough. We got it there. Now, the kind of design that this is, hey Heather, is a bit like tic-tac-toe. And you know me, we love tic-tac-toe. We play tic-tac-toe or bingo as a game during all the crops, a creative tic-tac-toe or bingo. And so to create my tic-tac-toe and my bingo, I'm going to use one of the coordinating cardstocks, which is Acorn. And I'm going to create the frame for the tic-tac-toe. Now these strips are 1/4 inch wide. I have 4 of them. They have been cut to 10 inches long. So 1/4 inch wide by 10 inches long. And then I've just taken each end and cut them on an angle. You see that, how they're all just kind of, and all I did was I stacked them all up in a pile, you know, like this, and I just went snip. And then I turned it around and I went snip the same direction, so they're angled the same way on each end. It's very fancy what I did to create that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually use my ruler to help me with this. If I can grab it. I want to line my strips up. The first one, I'm going to line it up, butted up against my ruler, placed at 4 1/4. So this edge, the right hand edge of my ruler, is on the 4 1/4 inch line. And I'm going to attempt to put glue on this and not drop it 100 times while I'm trying to flip it over and stick it down. I should probably get the assistance of my tweezers for this. And I want to stick this piece right up near the top of the pattern paper. Okay, so I'm going to line it up with my ruler and have it come right up to the top of my pattern paper, or pretty close to the top. So there will be some gap down here at the bottom. Okay, it's just because we want to make a little bit of juxtaposition. And now I'm going to put my ruler at 7 1/2, which I'm going to put my 1/4 inch strip here, and that would bring me in 4 1/4 from the side, just like this. So we're making them even in from the sides. Okay, so this one, the next strip, is going to be at 7 1/2, butted up, but this time, instead of coming up to the top, we're going to have it down near the bottom of the pattern paper, just to make it a little wonky. If we make it a little wonky from the start, then if it ends up being wonky in the end, everybody will think we made it wonky on purpose. And you've heard me use that phrase many times. If you can't get it entirely straight, make it wonky on purpose. So there we go. We've got our 2 vertical strips, and this is where sticking it down to your Versamat comes in handy because it helps keep everything straight while you're trying to line things up. Now I'm going to come up to 4 3/4 actually, up from the bottom. So my top line of my ruler is at 4 3/4. I'm leaving a little bit extra space at the bottom here, just because I can. And I'm going to take another strip of the same 1/4 inch wide by 10 inch long, angled on the ends. And this time we're going to go to the right hand side. Line it up at the right hand side of the pattern paper along our ruler. Normally when I stick something this narrow down, I put the glue right on the base page, but I'm trying my best. And then at the top here, we're going to come down. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Let me just check something. Yeah, we're going to come down to 8 1/4. 8 1/4. So I'm actually using the bottom of my ruler now, and it's lined up at 8 1/4. And we're going to go ahead and stick, and hopefully I remembered those measurements right. I was playing around with this layout earlier. And this time we're going to go to the left with our little strip here. Line it up at the left hand side. Whoops, there's my ruler shifting. And see if we can't put that strip nicely across. Now that's the tedious part done. Woohoo! All right, now if you were particular, you could try to weave those, but you know what? They're all the same color. They're all stuck down on the same side, so I'm not worrying about, you know, that some are on top, some are underneath. Nobody's gonna notice. They're not gonna notice. Yeah. All right, so now I want to add in some pieces of pattern paper from the collection. So this first piece and most of the pieces have been cut to 2 3/4 inches square. And this is a lovely honey butter polka dot pattern. We're going to go ahead and add some adhesive on the back like that. And we're going to stick it down on here in this little section here. And I'm going to leave an even amount of the background pattern showing all the way around these 3 sides, not worrying about the outside edge. Our outside edges are just whatever they happen to be. That's why our lines are wonky. The edges will be as they are. There's going to be no rhyme or reason to the edges. All right. Now, in this bottom corner, again, I've got a 2 3/4 inch square of this lovely watercolor plaid happening. And this is where you can really just kind of mix and match. You can pull in mix-ins. You could put solid cardstock. You could put different pattern papers. You could make stamped papers of your own. You could do your own watercolor stripes. Anything you want to create these pattern blocks inside our tic-tac-toe. Now I'm going to come over to this corner and I'm going to repeat that honey butter square. Again, same size, 2 3/4 inch square. Now, don't assume that they're all going to be the same. There is going to be a little bit of difference as we go along here. So don't get ahead of ourselves. We're going to make a little bit of wonky happen. All right, and we're going to kind of line it up in that square with the same little amount of spacing in between. Hey, Mom, nice to see you're watching. Good evening. And then in the center, we're going to add another piece, and it's actually the back side of this, and it's a really nice, is that ballerina or flamingo or one of those lovely pinky colors that coordinates with the collection. I don't have my zip strip handy to to reference it. But I know there's peach in there. Maybe that's peach. There's peach, there's flamingo. And we're going to center that in the middle of that square. And actually, my design ended up pretty much being centered on there too, which is kind of cool. And what else? We're going to add another one of those lovely patterns up in this top right corner. Like so. Don't worry, we're going to get to some stamping here. We're just kind of laying the groundwork on our tic-tac-toe. And line that up, leaving that little bit of space. Now we're going to deviate a little bit. I'm adding in a piece of this pattern paper that has the little bunnies on it. Now I've kind of chopped off most of the bunnies because I don't really care if there's bunnies on here. And this is a 2 1/4 inch square. And that's going to go here, and that's the end of my roll. Let's grab another roll and find the end. Anybody else have trouble finding the end to their tape? When they start a new roll, it's not as bad as masking tape. Now, this one, because it's smaller, I'm actually going to put it over in the corner here. So it's lined up inside, leaving the same kind of space, but it's over in the corner. So we're going a little wonky. This is where we get to have some fun. Now I want to show you the photos that we're going to be using for this layout. I've got 3 photos, and these were taken when my boys were much younger, because they are now 20 and 21. This was when they were more like 4 and 6-ish ages. They were just little. We were visiting at the farm, and my brother had some new little baby chickies. And so there were some little chickies, actually. They're looking, see, there's some hay bales here, and there's some styrofoam. There was a heat lamp in there with some like couple day old chickies. These guys here are, you know, a couple weeks old chickies that were running around in the bigger area. So I thought this was going to be super cute with that Just Chicken In stamp of the month, because we've got a layout dealing with little chickies. So these photos are all different sizes. This one is 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And we're going to go ahead, add our adhesive on there. And this is going to go up in that top section where we've got that 2 1/4 piece of pattern paper. And we're going to bump it over. You see how we're coming up and over and lining it up with this side? So we've got sort of like a drop shadow happening with that pattern, just for something different. Then this one is going to be added to this left side in the center, but it's been printed a little bit taller. So this is 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. And so it's a little bit taller. So it's actually going to sit just a little bit on top of this bottom bar strip, and it's going to overlay that top one quite a bit, and just to make it a little bit different. And then this bottom picture, which is also a different size again, it is 2 5/8 by 3 and I don't know, 3/16 or something. It was kind of cut randomly, these photos. Can you tell? Can you tell they were random? Yep, I was trying to just get different sizes and shapes going. And this one is going to be centered in here like this. And it's just going to hang down a little farther, which is why we bumped this bottom one up a little bit, to give ourselves a little more space down here for what we want to do. Alrighty. One more. We're missing something in our upper right corner. So I've got another piece of this pattern paper, and I'm just looking at it, and it appears to be a little wonky. A little more wonky than I would like. And it should be 2 3/4 inch square, but it looks crookedy. So let me just see if I can Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just my eyes. But that edge looked... Well, that's a little better. Okay. Something was just a little off right there. So a 2 3/4 inch square. And this is an opposite corner of the other piece of the beautiful watercolor plaid. Just to make a little bit of some symmetry. Only, oh, it's not really symmetry. A little bit of samey. So there we go. So we've got 2 each of these pattern papers. Then we have a couple with just photos, and then we have this one with a little bit of the bunny pattern paper sticking out, just for funsies. And now we need to come in with some stamping. So let me grab my other Versamat here so we can do some stamping. And I've gone ahead and I have cut some cardstock. So this has been cut to, I believe, 2.5 inches. Yes, 2.5 inches. And I want to stamp this little chickie with the little shell. He's got his little shell there. He's just kind of been hatched. Although he looks pretty big in comparison to the shell, but that's okay. We won't make fun of him for being a little husky. A husky chickie. And this one I'm not going to fussy cut. It is going to stay as is. So we're going to go ahead and stamp him right in the center. Just like that. We're using the back of the Versamat to give us nice stamping. So there's our first little guy. And I even have my stamp chamois here that I can use to quickly clean off that stamp. There we go. And then we've got another piece of cardstock that has been cut a little bit smaller. So this is 2 1/4 inch square. And I've got the little mother hen with her little chicks to go on this. And again, this one's not going to be fussy cut. Oh my goodness. We're not fussy cutting. Can you believe it? Don't worry, we will. We will fussy cut. We're just not going to fussy cut that. And so there's our little chicken with the 3 little chicks. We're going to get to use all the little chickens on this layout. Isn't that so exciting? Well, it's exciting for me. You can be excited for me if you want, because I get a little excited about the chickens. I know, it's crazy, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to bring in a piece of white cardstock here and stamp up our little chickie right there. So cute. I got some ink on the corner of my block, so we'll give that a wipe. That's why you're supposed to use a block that's close in size to your stamp so that you're less likely to get all the little bits of ink everywhere. But, you know, not everything can be perfect. But we're going to fussy cut. And then I'm going to bring in this very cool congregation of little chickies, a little flock of chicks. There's 4 of them here. We're going to ink them up. Make sure we get it all good and inky. And we're going to stamp them on here. These guys are going to be fussy cut too. There we go. Aren't they cool? Let's give them a wipe off with the stamp chamois. I probably could have got that wet again. I had it wet this afternoon. But it could do with a little more. All right. And, okay, that's it for now. We will come back to those. Now we're going to do a little bit of inking on these. And if you were watching during the crop, you will have seen me inking these up with some round sponges. And I went and got myself some new round sponges, and I wanted to show you how you make these into wedges. So you take your round sponge and your big old scissors and you chop it in half, just like that. I know, it's crazy. You get a nice round sponge and then you chop it up. And then we're going to chop it in thirds on each side. So 1, 2, and it's this simple. It takes no effort whatsoever to make yourself 6 little wedges that you can now use with your inks. They can be washed. Some people even take a little piece of cardstock and staple it on there and put the name of the ink they're going to use it with. I don't. I just use them willy-nilly. You know me, willy-nilly. And so we're going to grab our honey butter ink, our little foam wedge, and we are going to go to town inking up these little chickies. Now I'm going to kind of squish my little wedge down so it creates like a tiny little dome, and then I'm going to ink it up and then pounce with the honey butter all over my little chickie. And I think it creates such a fun little glow, a little bit of texture all over the little chickie. Nice and light and delicate. And then we can even do the same for our teeniest little chickies, but we're going to want to make it just as small as we can and add just a little pounce on each little chickie like that. So cute. Let's grab these guys, and yes, we're doing the same technique on all of them so that they're all matchy-matchy. Now these guys are a little bigger, so we can make our little sponge blobber a little bigger. Just like that. Pounce, pounce, pounce. So quick and easy. Let's attack these guys with the pouncy pouncy. And get some color on them. Like that. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. Who else likes little chickies? I think they're darling. Now, I'm trying to remember, that was honey butter. We used some Acorn last time, and I liked how it turned out. So I've got my Acorn ink here. And what I want to do is grab my Acorn, and I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to just dab off on the side here. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow on some of these, kind of where they're in behind the other guys. Just for a little bit of variation, we can add a little bit on that guy. I mean, little chickies are not always clean either. I'll add a little bit on him. And then on the eggshell, we're going to make this a little bit smaller, and we're going to add some speckles to the eggshell. Just like that. So quick, so easy. And we can also make our little chicken. We'll make her brown, a little brown chicken. We used to have Rhode Island Reds, and they were kind of reddish brown chickens, laid brown eggs. There we go. We've inked up all our little guys. And then we need to color some feet and beaks. Trying to remember which color I used for this, and this is why it's good to have scrap paper on the side. Yes, we're going to use the mid-tan brown. Sorry, the mid-tan, not tan brown. And we're just going to quickly, feet and beaks, just quickly add a little bit of color there. Super simple, super quick. It doesn't have to be exact. We can leave white spaces, you know, because our feather dusting with the ink was not an exact science, right? So it doesn't have to be precise. Let's add a little bit of color to the wattle and the comb and the feet. These little guys. Just a touch. Just a nubbin. And then our last one. Like that. Like so. Lovely. Okay, and if we want, we can also bring in some ice gray and add a little bit of shadow. So we can add some shadow under the egg, under the feet, along the edge of the shell. Now my ice gray is getting low on ink, so you can hear the scritchy scratch. We can add a little shadow under their feet. A little shadow under there. Woo, scritchy. And the same with these little guys. We can add a little shadow under their feet. And under there. Barely anything from the sounds of my marker. Attempts were made. Gotta order me a new one. All right, now time to do some cutting. These two are staying as is. And these little guys, we're gonna rough cut them first. So cute. I love that they're all kind of looking different directions. Very much like those spring bunnies, where they're all kind of looking a different way. We're going to do our fussy cutting. We want to pivot our paper while we're doing this and just leave a halo of white around the stamped image. And because we did that sponging, there's a little bit of color behind there. That's totally okay. All the way around. You can get as much detail as you want or as little detail as you want. Like so. And I think we might even use some foam tape on some of these little critters. Just because we can. Let's go all the way around. We're almost there. Last little beak. Last little leggy. Just like that. Now there's one, and then our last little guy. We'll go around him quick. Now this stamp set, let me just double check, does have or did have thin cuts available for it. Yes. I haven't checked to see if they are still available. But there's still lots of stuff from that March-April catalog available on the website. Keep in mind that Cardstock Carnival is going on right now, so you can get some good deals on stocking up on those essential things. And there's also stamp and thin cuts that have been loaded into the clearance section while supplies last. So that's super fun. You can get some good deals on those too. Whew. It's the day for deals. All right, so now these little guys, because we got a tic-tac-toe board going on here, we need to have some tic-tac-toes. So we're going to place these in various spots on our tic-tac-toe board to create, well, we've already got a row going there. How cool is that? But let's add some foam tape to these to bump them up. Let me see if I've still got a few little squares left in here. There's a few little bits. Using up my little squares from the shaker windows. Foams and acetates, might as well use them up. There we go. Like that. So let's peel off the backings on those. Nothing like a little chicky tic-tac-toe. You know what? The person who wins could be winner, winner, chicken dinner. Although we're not going to eat the little baby chickies. You gotta wait a little. Gotta wait a little. So we're gonna center those from top to bottom in that square, just like that. So we've got that nice peach background. And then these little guys, we'll pop those up too. Why not? Pauline, you grew up on a chicken farm. Very cool. Deborah says the dies are still available. Awesome. Thank you for checking that for me, Deborah. What kind of chickens did you have on your chicken farm, Pauline? We didn't necessarily have a chicken farm, but we had random animals on our farm. We had cows. We had a pony at one point. We had a couple sheep. We had turkeys. We had geese. Or sorry, we had ducks, Muscovy ducks. We had chickens. Never had pigs. Was there anything else that we had? Well, we had cats and dogs. Sheep. Cows. Mostly cows. Pony named Scout. He was awesome. So let's center this one up here as best I can from working at a weird angle. Now, before I stick this one down, I want to bring in my sticker sheet. And you remember from a layout or card that we made before, we had some of these little eggies, these very fun springtime colored eggies that were left over. So I thought in this little corner here, we could add a little bit of eggies and maybe this little strip of a banner onto here. So let's add some little eggies just to give our chicken somewhere to land. So we're going to even have our little eggies go right outside the pattern paper. Then we're going to add this little stripy tag just slightly on top of that. Then we'll pop up our little chicken, and I've run out of those little squares, so we're going to have to bring in some other foam tape here and add that on. It's not my favorite foam tape, that's for sure. But it'll do in a pinch. And add our little chickie. So we've made him a nice little spot to stand now. Kind of give him a place like so. These other ones kind of had a place because they were they've got a frame around them. And these guys, well, there's just more of them. So they you know, safety in numbers. Now I could have gone around with my X-Acto knife and cut out those inside little bits around their legs. I decided not to. I decided that was a little too much for today. And then also from the sticker sheet, we've got this cute little journaling spot with the nice little angled corners. And I thought that would look lovely over here to do some journaling. So we're just going to center that-ish. Center-ish it on there. And I can add my journaling on there. And then down here, we want a title. And if you remember, I'm trying to figure out where to put this down. From back at the beginning, we said we were going to use the Honey Bunny scrapbooking stamp set. And from this, I've got the title Spring Has Sprung, which you may have remembered from when you clicked on in to the video. So we're going to, let me see, will this fit on that block? Not quite, but the Has Sprung will definitely fit. So there's our Has Sprung. We're going to season it because I don't think I've used it yet. And then the spring, we're going to load onto this block, which needs to be cleaned in the worst. See all that ink? Hand sanitizer gets that off. Just rub the hand sanitizer on there because that's intense black ink. So it's not a water-based ink. So you need to use something to get it off. So hand sanitizer actually works. Just make sure you rinse off your block when you're done so that there's no hand sanitizer or residue on there, because I wouldn't recommend using hand sanitizer on your stamps per se. And, you know, I'm not even sure I picked out a piece of paper to do our title on. How weird is that? So what we're going to do is, whoops, let's grab our other side so I can do some measuring. So I want a piece of paper that is 1 1/8 by 3 3/8. Whew, 1 1/8 by 3 3/8. So let's grab that. Let's grab, let me see. I think a piece of peach, and I want to use the back side so it's a little bit lighter. What did we say? 1 1/8 and 3 3/8. can tell I use my scrap papers, right? 3 3/8 by 1 1/8. Might be a generous eighth. Might be 3/16 even. You never know. So there we go. And do I want to stamp it in black? Decisions. You know what? I think I will. Just because I was stamping everything else. Let's go ahead. And I'm taking my chances with this because this is a nice, thick, solid kind of stamp. So I'm going to want to get this good and inky. This is where I would generally use my stamp platform to make sure I get good coverage, and if it doesn't stamp exactly how I want. I've also got foam tape happening underneath here. That's going to affect my stamping. We shall see. Let's get it as good as we can. And if it doesn't work, we'll cut another piece and try again. That's the great thing about paper. Looks all right to me. So we've got our spring, and then I'll give this a rinse off like that. Then our has sprung. I'm going to be brave. Very brave or really crazy. And I'm going to try and stamp it right on there. It's always dangerous to do this on a mostly done layout. Sure is. Gives you the heebie-jeebies. So let's make sure we haven't got ink in weird places. And hold our breath. Yay! Does anybody else hold their breath when they stamp right on a layout? I always do. It's one of those ones. One of those things you gotta like talk yourself through it, right? Now on this, I'm going to do a tiny little bit of a dovetail, just 1/8 of an inch or so in, and bring those edges in. Again, a snip in the center, and come from the corner to the top of the snip, corner to the top of the snip, just like that. Let's pop that up with some foam tape. Grab a couple pieces. Spring has sprung. And this was springtime. I'm thinking, I don't know if it was March break when the boys were little. Might have been a little later than that, like maybe April. Might have been Easter. Because sometimes Easter's in April. Not this year. We're doing it really early this year. And it's landing in March. But I'm pretty sure it was one of those two occasions. And I can even use my plaid paper to help me line that up, which is fabulous. Now from my sticker sheet, I want to do a little bit more stamping. You see down here, we've got this cute little sticker with a stitched edge. I'm going to actually move my layout. I've got from the Just Chicken In stamp set, I've got Hey Chick loaded on here. Whoops, got some backing. And I'm going to stamp Hey Chick right on that sticker. It'll just fit. I checked beforehand. Look at that. Just fits perfectly on that little sticker. Wash that off. Now, I'm always a little hesitant with stickers because you never know if it's going to take an extra little second for it to do its, setting in. But these are cardstock weight stickers, so they're pretty good. And I thought I would just add this right in between these two sections here. Hey Chick, just like that. Now, I would probably never use that stamp, Hey Chick, on like a layout with a person. Although, all of my children had a nickname that involved chick. So Justin was Chickaboo, Joshua was Chickaboo, and Julia was Chickaloo when they were little. So they all had a chick name, but this is referring to our little chicks here. So just to be clear about that. Now, I just want to check and see if there's anything else I want to pull off of the sticker sheet to add any embellishing. I think because I've got this little row of eggies, it might be cute to grab a couple little eggies, and this would be easier if I didn't have my big fingers in the way, and just put maybe 3 little eggies. They got all different colors along here, just for a fun little, almost makes it look like a little scallopy border. I could even add more than 3. I could add 5. I could add 5 little eggies, but I think that might be overkill. We're just going to add 3 little eggies. And then we can also bring in the Honey Bunny dots to add a little bit of something to our layout. So we've got our Honey Bunny dots here. I like to use my piercing tool to help me with placement of dots. So let's see, let's grab a little one here, and then maybe a little one here, and a big one here. We're just gonna do some random dots. Let's add one here, one here. Just having fun. We're just sprinkling, just like we would make some cookies and sprinkle some sprinkles, or some cupcakes. That was the word I was going for. We're making some cupcake sprinkles here. And we've got one there, and maybe one there. And then we're just having fun here. Let's add one down here, maybe a blue one here, and a yellow one right there, like that. And a couple more. Let me see. How about a blue right there, and a little yellow one. Just like that. Random. Alrighty, so let's flip this over. Let's remove with our rub and remove eraser that piece of adhesive we added on there to hold it nicely in place while we worked on it. How many of you have been using that trick with your layouts? Adding that little bit of adhesive and then removing it when you're done, just to keep everything lined up on your Versamat. So there we have completed our Spring Has Sprung on the farm with all the little baby chickies. Deborah's loving it. Pauline had cows, goats, dogs, and a cat on her farm. Awesome. And Michelle's liking it. Super cute. Debbie says so cute. So there we go. We've got our little tic-tac-toe of chicks. So somebody has definitely winner chicken dinnered this. And then we've got our lovely pattern paper in behind from the mix-ins. We added in the Acorn, and the reason behind my decision for having those strips in Acorn was because the barn boards in the background in the photos are all that sort of brown wood grain type thing. So I thought, that kind of played with the hard lines of the wood in the photos. That was the reasoning behind that color choice. And then, of course, we get to see some of those beautiful fun patterns from the Honey Bunny collection, adding in our Just Chicken In stamp of the month. It's nice to be able to use that stamp of the month on cards and layouts and different projects. Then we've also got our Honey Bunny scrapbooking title here, Spring Has Sprung. We've also added in stickers, our eggs, our little banners, and our Hey Chick some little extra eggs over here, a journaling spot to fill out, some honey bunny dots, and I think that is super cute. And it's kind of a fun change from a regular 9-panel grid. It adds just a little bit extra when you've got kind of that tic-tac-toe thing happening. I think that's super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that layout come together. If you feel inspired, just as I was, to create a layout like this, and I was inspired by a Pinterest post by Anna Comenda. And so if you get inspired by this, make yourself a layout, snap a photo of it, and pop it in the comments when I post this on the Facebook page. We would love to see it and be inspired by your artwork as well. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week ahead, and we will see you again soon. Toodaloo! Bye!